Hey guys, today's video is going to be the start of topic 1, which is population for both SL and HL geography. This video is going to focus on the factors affecting global population distribution. The main idea behind global population distribution is why do some places have a dense population while some are quite sparsely populated? Well, it's due to a combination of both physical factors like climate and nature, and also human factors like economic or social issues. These can help explain why population densities vary across the world, which form observable patterns that can be analyzed geographically. Global population distribution refers to the pattern of where people live, and this is a very important definition you need to know for IB that you can use in your 10 markers, and you could get some definition questions. This map shows world population distribution and which areas are more densely populated than others. The darker regions like India are more densely populated than the lighter regions, for example, like Australia, which is quite light. There are some general trends to population distribution. Firstly, 75% of people live within 1,000 kilometers of the sea because being nearby to a coast offers many job opportunities like fishing or boating. Also, 85% of people live under 500 meters altitude, as living in high altitudes is actually quite tough. 85% of people live between 68 degrees north and 28 degrees north due to that region being a very neutral climate. Less than 10% of people live in the southern hemisphere, which has fewer land masses and consequently less areas with neutral climate. Let's first take a look at the physical factors which affect population distribution, specifically climate, water, relief, and access to resources. Climate refers to the temperature and weather of an area. Moderate climate and temperature zones provide reliable rainfall, fertile soils, and comfortable living conditions, making them ideal for agriculture and urban development. Harsh climates such as deserts like the Sahara or polar regions like Siberia cause settlement to be quite low due to extreme temperatures, water scarcity, and challenging living conditions. Areas that are quite prone to extreme weather events or natural hazards like hurricanes, typhoons, droughts often have lower population densities due to risks to life and infrastructure. For example, Haiti is an area that's quite prone to having earthquakes, and it's a very sparsely populated region. There are some exceptions to the extreme weather rule. For example, areas like India, which have a quite monsoonal climate area, they support high population densities due to the abundance of water during raining season, making it so that agriculture is quite easy, specifically rice farming. The physical shape of land or the relief also plays a crucial role in determining settlement patterns. Flat and low-lying areas are attractive due to ease of construction, accessibility, and suitability for agriculture. Mountainous regions are less hospitable due to steep slopes, thin soils, and being quite isolated, leading to lower population densities. A good example of this is China, which is obviously seen as one of the most populated areas, but in fact, a lot of the country is quite sparsely populated. East China, areas like Beijing or Shanghai, is actually quite flat, so they have a very dense population. However, Western China or Northern China is located mostly in mountainous regions like the Himalayas, and it's quite sparsely populated. This map shows the northern region of India, which is being quite sparsely populated due to it being a very mountainous region. However, southern India is quite sparsely populated due to being quite flat land and also quite fertile land, so agriculture is very abundant there. Water is vital for human survival, agriculture, and industry. So if there are water sources nearby a settlement, it is more likely to be densely populated. Settlements are often clustered around rivers, for example, the Nile, the Ganges River, or the Yangtze River, and lakes where water support drinking, irrigation, and transportation. However, there are some risks to this as natural hazards could be prone. Despite the advantages, flood-prone river basins or coastal areas exposed to tsunamis and storm surges can cause settlement to be quite low and require significant adaptation for them to be quite livable. Access to coasts also determine how populated a settlement is. Being quite close to a coast offers a lot of additional opportunities, including fishing, trade, and water transport. Additionally, the availability of resources also increases population density. Natural resources provide a foundation for economic activity and settlement. For example, mineral-rich regions such as the Ruhr Valley in Germany or the oil fields in the Middle East attract high population densities due to resource extraction industry. Access to resources also leads to technological and economic development, enabling settlements to be quite abundant or densely populated, as seen in areas with abundant fossil fuel supplies. This map shows prominent trade routes, so settlements nearby them like Shanghai or New York will be quite densely populated due to the availability of trade and job opportunities. Now let's turn to the human factors which affect population distribution. These include the economy, infrastructure, and history. Areas with thriving economies attract higher population densities. For example, urban centers like Tokyo and New York are hubs of trade, commerce, and industry, which provide job opportunities and better living standards, so more people are likely to move there. The rise of manufacturing zones and service industries also encourages rural to urban migration, as seen in countries like China and India, where booming cities like Mumbai, Shanghai, quite dense populations as people have moved from the rural areas to there due to the job opportunities. Infrastructure also enables high density populations due to supporting essential services and connectivity. Having good access to transportation networks such as roads, railways, and airports make regions accessible and facilitate economic activity. Additionally, having good utilities such as electricity, clean water, and healthcare allow for sustainable living in densely populated areas. Singapore is a very good example as it has a high population density due to its excellent infrastructure and connectivity as a global trade hub. Finally, historical events also shape where populations are concentrated today. For example, due to colonial settlements in the past, ports and trade hubs remain established and they remain densely populated due to their strategic locations. Additionally, migration patterns, such as the Great Migration in the United States, have influenced population clusters. A good example of this as well is South Africa, where historical factors such as the apartheid policies led to forced migrations and uneven population distribution. This has given rise to dense urban centers and sparsely populated rural areas in South Africa. Thank you very much for watching. This video has now covered all the factors that affect population distribution that you need to know for IB geography. The next video I will be doing will focus on population development, specifically related to economic factors such as HDI or GDP. Thank you.